Hey, how's everybody? How's everybody doing? Y'all ready to talk? Erica Ford here. Erica Ford from Life Camp, taking over BET House Party Live. Let's get into conversation. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about how your voice can make a difference. Let's talk about a pandemic on top of a pandemic. Let's talk about some things that have went into place in New York City to help make a difference in police and community relationships and public safety. And then let's talk about what you want to talk about. All right? And so, for those who don't know, and that's probably most of y'all, my name is Erica Ford, and I run an organization based in New York City. It's called Life Camp Incorporated. And Life Camp is a not-for-profit that is part of the architect of the New York City Crisis Management System. And the New York City Crisis Management System is 22 sites across New York City's 5 boroughs and over 60 organizations that work together to co-produce public safety. And so we're there before the 911 calls are made. We're there to help intervene and mediate conflict so that the violence is reduced in our city, so that young people have something else to do, so that we redirect the trauma that impacts so many young people from the years of historical and generational trauma that comes from oppression, that comes from racism, that comes from inequality, that comes from all of those things that we are unable to release, that we don't have the medical doctors coming into our community and helping us heal. And so in New York City, we have the New York City Crisis Management System that Life Camp is a part of. And the other day, the mayor made an announcement in New York City about the New York City Crisis Management System. And we will get into that. But we are also still in the middle of a pandemic. And in the middle of a pandemic, we have to help people heal. And we have to help you heal your heart. We have to help you heal your mind. We have to help you heal your body and your soul. And so together with several other organizations, on June 19th, we're doing a day of healing. And we started the planning and the conversation for the day of healing way before George Floyd was killed, way before Breonna Taylor was killed. Because in the middle of the pandemic, we saw so many people losing their lives. We saw so many people losing their jobs. We saw so many people not able to participate in one of the most exciting days in most of our lives, our graduation. And so we thought it was necessary to put together a day of healing where people could come together and celebrate their greatness, to find a space to heal, to find tools and resources to bring you to a space where you can have conversation about the things that are troubling you and understanding and how to deal with loss, how to deal with the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, the loss of the things that bring trauma to your life. And so therefore we put together a day of healing, and it will be June 19th. And you can go to dayofhealing.com. You can go to Day of Healing. It's a national day of healing. And it's from 5 to 8 Eastern on June 19th. We're calling people all over the country to come together. And so if you have pictures of loved ones that you lost during the coronavirus, feel free to send it to us at nationaldayofhealing.com and be part of the healing circle for our people across the nation. And now on top of coronavirus, we have the epidemic of racial discrimination that has taken place on the front lines throughout the universe with so many folks. And so in New York City, the mayor has increased the budget by $10 million for credible messengers to go out and deal with public safety and to deal with what is going on in the streets with the police and to deal with the social distancing as a way to not defund the police at this time, because we are calling for defunding the police in New York City, because we believe that a budget should reflect the people and the interests of the people in the city. And so therefore, the budget should not be one that reinforces militarization. It should invest in helping people heal. It should invest in the education of the people. And so that is what we are calling for in New York City. And the mayor, 2 days ago, stood with us and invested $10 million to expand the work that we're doing and open up more crisis management sites across the 5 boroughs so that we can hire more formerly incarcerated men and women to stand on the front line of their community and transform public safety and transform violence into a community of safety. And so that is what we're doing. And it is a tremendous success for those on the front line. And to learn more, you can go to lifecampinc.com and hear more. And let's see any questions that anyone has about the whole question of, that's right, join pain. Peace, Queen. Can you tell us about what the Life fundraiser donations will go to? We are raising money in New York City in particular and in other cities because of budget cuts. They canceled summer youth. And we all know the importance of summer youth. And so we want to make sure that young people have a job this summer, that young people have some place to go. And so we are raising money to hire as many young people as we can, number one, throughout New York City, and number two, in those areas that have been most impacted by the demonstrations and the issues of police violence, because we know that it is of extreme importance to keep our young people busy during the summer, to keep them engaged, to keep them growing and learning educationally, culturally, and financially. And with the impact of coronavirus on families, with a lot of the matriarchs and the patriarchs of families losing their lives, we thought it was important to raise money to put into the hands of these young people so that they can have jobs. And so that is what the money raised by Life Camp is going. It's not just for Life Camp. It is for several organizations helping them to hire young people through our programming this summer. And for and for those who might be masters in their field, we're asking you to come and do master classes and teach young people from your space of expertise. And so we have business people, we have actors, we have construction world, we have plumbers, we have contractors coming to do master classes for the young people to give them an opportunity to learn things that they might not have ordinarily had access to. And so that is what the funding is about. We need to focus on laws and policies. Forget making relationships with police. We need to deal with the system. Okay, I am the kid. Okay, so I am right now in South Jamaica, Queens. And so what am I supposed to do right now today with the police that are in my neighborhood beating someone? What am I supposed to do? Should I tell everybody to just wait until the system gets changed? Or how do I deal with that specific incident right now? And so in order for me as a leader to deal with every incident right now, as we change and transform the system, I have to have a relationship. Are they my friends? Do we eat dinner? Do we hang out? No. But I have to have a relationship in the sense of making them stop doing the act. And so we have been successfully able to release several young people from the system. We have been successful in getting the police to stop harassing people, to even to the point of tasing people and doing different incidents of violence in our community or making false arrests, whatever the situation, and from young people shooting each other. we do all of that. We, from both sides of the guns, from both sides of the equation, we are on the front line in the community stopping violence. And no matter what face it comes in, we are there. And so I can't wait to a system change when there's incidents that are happening every day. I'm getting calls to respond to a situation, either interpersonal violence with us or situations with the police. And so I have to go deal with them, and my staff has to go deal with them. And the sites around New York City and around the nation, we have to go deal with them as we change the system of militarization in our communities wherever it shows its face. This will go together with my story. I don't know. My question is, how did this all start? Meaning, how can someone think they can control you? Where did this control start? Meaning, how can one feel they can own us? I can't tell you how it starts, but racism is how it continues. Inherent hate is how it continues. That in our community, way too often, people come in to serve us that hate us, that are not connected to us culturally, do not understand us, do not want to understand us. And so therefore, the hate and the various types of discrimination, whether it's in the school, in the hospital, in the library, in the corner store, and in all of those things happen. And so that's why we're saying that we have to be self-determining. We have to control the businesses and build our generational wealth. Put an end to the police brutality, put an end to the imbalance in funding in our cities. We have to put elected officials in office in our city that will stand for making sure that funding goes to people, that funding goes to enhance the lives of our children, that funding goes to the education of our children, that funding goes to the well-being of our children, that we begin to look at violence as a disease. And we look at it as a disease no matter where it shows its face, whether it's in the Department of Social Service, whether it's in the Department of Education, whether it's in the Department of Housing, whether it's in the Administration for Children's Services here in New York, what it's called. No matter where it shows its face, we need to fight discrimination or change discrimination and racial discrimination and reduce the amount of indifferences that happen to our people. Real talk, that's the dopest afro I've ever seen in my life. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Coronavirus 101. Can't comb your hair. Sounds like amazing work. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, we are. Second wave is coming. Coronavirus. And so therefore, second wave is coming means we got to get healthy, means we got to get right, means that we have to put extra energy into building our immune system, into making sure that our respiratory system is strong. And so we have to do things like oil of oregano, golden seal, right? We have to take things like black seed oil, aloe, eat more green, eat more life. We have to put things in our system that brings life to us, as opposed to things that clog our immune system, like dairy products, right? Because you're right, a second wave is coming, and we have to make sure that we're able to survive. And we can't, you see right now in the pandemic, we have people dying from coronavirus, people being killed by racial discrimination. And then here in New York, we have gun violence is still on the rise. And so that's why we need folks to come together to help us call for a ceasefire, call for a truce, call for these young brothers to put their guns down and help us to organize our community around the bigger issue, around the racism that we face on so many levels. And that is why we are raising money to put these young people to work, to give them jobs and opportunity to learn and grow, because we can't deal with them shooting each other and deal with organizing around the police situation in our community. And so we need folks to invest in our young people, both physically, financially, spiritually, and all of the above. We know the young people in our community who need the extra love, who need the extra attention. And now's the time to not only go out there and march, but to go find those young people and give them the conversation, give them the time, give them the energy that they need to transform their mindset, because we need mindsets together, face forward, focusing on the bigger picture of racial discrimination across America. No disrespect. Okay, you're talking to that person. We need to be working on changing this shit, not adverts. I don't know what that means. We stand with you. Thank you. Mind, body, heart, soul. I will be involved. Thank you. Yes, we need to do our taxes. We need to make sure that our businesses are right, because as you saw with the coronavirus, they were giving out the loans. And some people, we have entrepreneur, we have businesses, but we don't file taxes. We don't put our paperwork together. And so we need to get collectively together. We're going to be doing classes on helping people run their business during the summer, helping these young people and whoever needs help. We do classes every day. Life Camp Inc. on our IG Live. We do lives every day. And so Monday we do physical fitness and movement. On Tuesday we do finances and building generational wealth. On Wednesday we do Wellness Wednesday. So we talk about how to build your immune system with Kearse and some of the other folks in our wellness team, and so that we could get right. Because getting right mentally and physically and spiritually is number one, because we can't go out in the street and deal with anything else if we can't walk 5 miles, if we can't stay up all day, if we can't be out there and focus and discipline and energize to do what it is we need to do. So we have to get physically right. We have to wear our masks. We have to stay focused on the fact that our wellness is very important. All right. And so on Thursday, our young people take over and they do various different things every Thursday. Friday is Feel Good Friday. We do healing through laughter, because we want to help people also just escape every once in a while. We're caught in the middle of a whole lot of pain and a whole lot of trauma, and we have to have outlets for people to release. We have to have outlets for people to even be able to reach for hope. And so that is the purpose of the healing through laughters that we do every Friday. God bless you and thank you very much for giving us strength and love and peace. No doubt, brother. I hope they show more episodes of Ruthless. I don't know about that. Yes, if you like Ruthless, they should show you more Ruthless. Hello, love, you're here. Thank you. So, you can teach people how to heal from that stuff. We have to teach people how. They used to call me, I don't know how many of you know Deepak Chopra, but he had coined me the Angry Peacemaker, because, I was fighting everything. I was using a hammer for every single thing. And doing this work and focusing on healing, it has helped me to be more productive in my work. Because as a leader, you can't fight being angry, because you have to be focused. You have to know what it is that you want to achieve. You have to have a plan. You have to be able to execute your plan. So we say today, okay, we're going to defund all the police and give the money to you. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? What are we ready to do? What are we organized to do? So we have to be ready to implement the programming that is needed. And so in order to implement the programming, people are needed. And people are needed to not have a job, but be committed to a movement to change the quality of our lives. And so we have to be able to do the work that is needed to take us to the next level. And so that is what we are saying when we say that you can't just be angry. You have to be organized. You have to be disciplined. You have to be committed to the movement and not just a job. It is important for us to look at the question of healing and what the day of healing means and what the benefits of healing is what we're going to be talking about next week. And healing of your mind is getting centered. And so we have a sister that works with us, and her name is Kearse. And Kearse is our wellness director, and she teaches us to be aligned, alkaline, and to remind. And what that means is that when you align yourself, you get centered. You get centered by focusing, by meditation, by reading, by going out and doing a walk, being centered with yourself, being centered with your mind, just breathing, right? Because some of us don't even take time to breathe. We don't take time to breathe, and we have to take time to just breathe. And then when we take time to really just breathe, the power is in the breath. And when you see that the power is in the breath, then you can focus on the breath. And when you focus on your breath, that means you are centered. That means you are aligned. And here is our wellness director. Her name is Kearse. And so, Kheperah, if you could tell us real quick, or not real quick, but the importance of healing, the importance of, in the middle of all of this trauma, what does it mean to heal? How do we heal in all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me to the BET house party. You know, our people have been impacted by trauma for generations. So here's a simple example. If you were getting ready to sit down with your child and do homework, and a rabid pit bull was charging towards you, would you sit there and be creative, or would you run for your life? Like at that moment, you're not thinking about anything. You could have 3 pots on the stove, all the burners burning. You could have, you know, you have your child there. The only thing you're thinking about is survival. The brain releases stress hormones and immediately you kick into action, right? So now imagine you're enslaved. You're enslaved, you're beaten, you're robbed, your family is taken from you, you're raped, you know, you're burned at the stake, you're hanged, you're witnessing that. So the reason why we call violence a disease and it's contagious is because if you experience constant violence, you can become enraged and filled with violence. Now, keep in mind that every time you have an experience, there's an impression on your cells, and the cells have memory. So now after slavery, when we were quote unquote emancipated, there was no therapeutic services. There was no chance to release that cellular anger. There was no chance to scientifically and chemically release the toxins in the blood in the way of stress hormones that you built up because you were ready to fight every day, right? Then here comes the Jim Crow era. Here comes the civil rights movement, right? Here comes segregation and institutionalized racism. So if you are constantly in a state of trauma, statistics say that Africans, Black Africans in America, and that's Black and brown. I mean, you know, there was a time when they said if you got a little bit of Black, you Black. So I'm just saying, Black people, right, who are descendants of slavery and systemic racism have experienced a lifetime of trauma. Yes. So if in your lifetime, every time you turn around, there's that pit bull, and that pit bull looks like poverty. That pit bull looks like, I don't know how I'm going to make my next, you know, meal for my kids or make my ends meet. That pit bull looks like the police are basically throwing me up against the wall and frisking me in front of my man, or for a man in front of my girl for no reason. That looks like, you know, I could walk out the street at any moment and be shot. Yes. Every day, those stress hormones are on alert. Those stress hormones are being released in the body. So the blood becomes toxic. And as a result, we develop pre-existing stress-related conditions. Now you fast forward to COVID. And Black people have the highest rate of death with coronavirus because we had all of these pre-existing conditions. And most of them came from stress. Most of them came from cumulative stress over years. And even if you can say, well, you know, I've never been the victim of police brutality, or I've never experienced just the stress of survival, just the stress of work, just the stress of raising Black children in America, and the fear that when they go outside, they may not return home. People internalize stress. So on the outside, we know how to look good, but on the inside, we're hurting. And we're killing ourselves with what we call chemical knives because the blood is becoming poisoned. And so over time, it actually us physically. Oh, you got the aloe. So one of the things that we do is we started the Eat Aloe Vera Challenge. So this is an aloe vera leaf. You can get it from any store. And what people don't know is that in addition to your skin, hair, and nails, aloe vera also cleans the blood. So when you ask, how do you begin to heal from systemic trauma, from years of stress hormones going in the blood, the first thing you do is clean the blood. And one of the simplest ways to clean the blood is with aloe vera. It has 75 elements, vitamin A, vitamin C. So we do the Eat Aloe Vera Challenge. I got my slice.
All right.
And please note, the first thing you must do is wash the skin. So you can wash it with apple cider vinegar or lemon, but wash it really well. Cut a slice like the width of a thorn, and then cut the thorns off. And the challenge is to eat the skin, because the skin is where the vitamins are. So on the count of 3, the challenge is to eat it like it's a delicious piece of candy, because it's real bitter. And bitters make the blood sweet. So on the count of 3, 2, 1. Yes. And the challenge is to eat it like it's a delicious piece of candy. Because at the end of the day, what it's doing is cleaning the blood. It also cleans the digestive system. It also reduces the blood sugar. It also reduces inflammation. So those
and it helped my hair grow during the corona.
Oh my God, your hair is crazy, man. And so something as simple as aloe vera is a one-stop shop. So I salute you, because we have been making sure our team who's on the ground eats their aloe vera. You can also juice it.
So what that means is we don't only just take the mask and gloves and hand sanitizer.
Oh, we
take them aloe.
Internal, absolutely.
You know, we take them Queen of Flua's Green Life. We take them Queen of Flua's Breath of Life. Yes. Because we know that the healing is one of the
inside. Yes. And I will say this, Queen, you know, because we are vibrational people and we learn things in rhythm and rhyme, what you were saying earlier, what we started was align, alkaline, remind. Say it again.
Align, alkaline, remind.
And so
can we hear all of y'all say it?
Yes. So one of the ways to heal, because many of you as people have been marching and protesting, you watching the bad news all day, what happens is you can feel anger. I've talked to a lot of people and they just feel stressed and they can't identify it, but they just feel tight. And so some people feel weight, like it's pressure on the chest. Some people just feel uptight. Some people feel angry. And so what happens with the brain is that it doesn't know that you're not in the experience. Even if you're watching it, the brain thinks you're having that experience and it automatically sends those stress hormones of adrenaline and cortisol, and it goes in the blood. So you want to, when you feel that stress coming on, you want to get in alignment. And getting in alignment is as simple as breathing deeply, and as simple as taking a deep breath and holding the breath for as long as you can, and also learning proper breathing, because you're not breathing from your chest and you're not breathing from your mouth, because if you breathe with your mouth open, you can only take in a limited amount of breath. You actually have to breathe through the nose and fill the belly with air and hold the breath. You know, it's like a storm. When a tree is firm, when there's a storm.
This person said that they've been having a stiff neck, that they've never had. That's stress.
Yes. So that's stress in the neck. So you could easily just sit comfortably and begin to do neck rolls. You know, that's important. The other thing that you can do when you take a deep breath in and then pretend you're sipping out of a straw and exhale like you're sipping out of a straw. That forces the breath to come out more slowly. When you breathe deeply and you hold the breath.
This person said, I need a new government. I think I'm going to be tight until then. You know.
So that's the thing, right? You might be, because what's happening is stress happens also when you're in the future or the past a lot of times, right? Sometimes you're not in the moment of a situation. Sometimes just the thought of it. The thought of it can take you there. And again, the brain doesn't know that it's not in it. So it's important to stay present. So just breathing and focusing on the breath keeps you present. Eating something alkaline, what that does also is restores the biochemistry of your blood. Remember, you want to keep your 3 B's on point: your blood, your bowels, and your breath. If you're not having regular bowel movements, you're going to be uptight. If you eat a lot of starch heats the body up and makes you want to fight or makes you want to fornicate, right? So if you find that your children are really stressed out and erratic, look at their diet, because you can't live on a diet anything. So look at their nutritional intake and give them less starch and less sugar at this time. Give them more whole foods, right? More fruits and veggies to keep them alkaline. And then the remind is remember who you are. Get a good word. Call somebody who you know is good for reminding you of who you are and helping you to get centered, right? It's really important that you're mindful not only of what you put in your mouth, but what you put in your mind and who you're surrounded by and the quality of inputs in your mind and in your heart. Because people who really love you don't want you to be wound up. You can't fight if a rabid dog is chasing you. You can't even think about being creative. So even as you're out there marching, be mindful of the energy you're putting up in the universe.
I want to give you an example. I want to give you two examples. And I see the person talking about voting, and voting is important tool, and we have to make sure that we're putting the right people in office and training and educating young people to run for office. We have to not just go along to get along. We have to start training and educating our young leaders to run for office and take these seats. And then we also have to do our census, because our census is the releasement of the funds and the things that we need in our communities.
10 years. And it's going to last for 10 years. What people don't understand is if you do not fill out the census, let's say, for example, another thing that contributed to a lot of the pre-existing conditions, we live in communities that don't have a lot of fresh produce. So for me, in South Jamaica, Queens, in order for me to eat well, I got to drive all the way to Long Island just to get, with all due respect, you know, there's not an abundance of healthy food. There's more liquor stores, there's more fast food restaurants, and I'm not knocking that, but there's no balance. And so if you want better schools in the community, if you want better food, if you want better quality of life, if we want the streets fixed, I remember your street, every time it rained, it was like Noah's Ark. The flood was crazy. So when we want these things, you have to fill out the census, because the census lets the government know how much money needs to go in your community. And if you don't fill it out, what happens?
It's going to go to somebody else's community.
10 years. I believe the Queens Borough president said.
So that is, yes. How much per person?
I think they were saying like it's like for every one person that doesn't fill out the census, it's like $3,000 per period of time. It ended up being like $70 million a year for 3,000 people. So if there's like 20,000 people that don't fill out the census, that's $70 million every year for 10 years. That's not coming in the community.
Right, and we need those. We need those for all of the things that we talked about, because government shifting is us shifting, right? Because we are the government. The government is us putting people in office, and the same way we put people in office, we could put ourselves in office. And so let's just look at how we transform our mental to look at ourselves as being the answer, because we are the answer. And so we can easily just let's change the entire system of how we function, and then because all politics are local. All politics are local, and so therefore we can begin to make those transformations that are needed. And so that's in investing in our children, investing in their mind, in their spirit, in their soul, in their education, seeing them, understanding them, and making sure that we protect them. It's talking about investing in the question of who is running our community, right? And so when we look at different elected officials in our community, they work for us. And so we can't just relinquish our power to them. We have to stay in charge. We have to stay on top of the conversation. We have to stay in control of the businesses that come into our community and where we put our dollars, right? Because it's popular right now to be Black and to invest in Black. And so we must keep it that way, right? And so that's starting first with our dollars and the dollars of those who open up business in our community, making sure that it remains in our community so that we can have the quality of things that Kheperah was talking about and a lot of y'all are talking about on the timeline, so that we can have a quality of life. Because struggling, and when I say struggling for your rights and standing up against police brutality and all of those different things are not equivalent to being poor. You don't
Right.
have to be poor and live in poor conditions to do the work and to be Black. And so we have to clean our community and invest in our community. At the same time, we are holding police accountable. Let's do all of the work that is needed, because everybody is not outside
And you know what else,
organizing
Erica?
and rallying.
Everything you said was beautiful, and change, like you said, starts with the self, right? So if you don't have the courage to change externally, it's because you have to build the courage internally. And believe it or not, we were born with the spirit of love and a sound mind. We were born courageous. If you look at a baby that's learning how to walk, they every 5 minutes they look like they're about to fall over. They fall, they bust their head, and they get back up because they were born fearless, free from fear. So in order to restore that courage and really tap into the supreme intelligence to have the ideas of how to reimagine this new space that we're coming into, right, you do have to get in alignment. You do have to cleanse. If you're eating a lot of heavy food, it is going to weigh you down. You are going to be frustrated, and everything outside of you is going to disturb your peace. So the first thing is really dealing with the community of self, because when you take care of your body on the inside, then you're not going to destroy your community on the outside. Right. And also having the compassion to know that most people are operating from a place of pain. Black people have been impacted by trauma for generations. So when we pop off at one another, that's really pain. And I love the work that Life Camp is doing, because we do really treat violence like a disease. We deal with young people who have the propensity, to be a perpetrator or a victim of violence, and we deal with them first from their pain, because a kid acting out in school is acting out of pain and doesn't know how to process it. And so by making them do yoga, like I love that we had this kid remanded to us by the courts, and his assignment was to do yoga and meditation and actually get academic support, and it transformed him completely. And then we took his mother and put her in the community garden, and she had a chance to cultivate and get some healing, and their relationship has been restored. And that's the kind of work we have to continue to do for ourselves and our community. Have to speak more with compassion and recognize that the pain someone is dealing with is being expressed through anger and rage.
And this is Wellness Wednesdays. Happens on Life Camp site, and so you can see Kheperah Kearse every Wednesday teaching what she's talking about now. You can join her team at lifecampinc.com. Be part of our wellness team. Help us help people heal. Help us help you heal. National Day of Healing. Kheperah is one of the hosts with Michael Della Rocha.
Yes.
And so tune in. Go to nationaldayofhealing.com and check us out and join us. And so give Kheperah a round of applause. Set some hearts up for Kheperah.
Thank you.
And thank you for stopping by the house party. Next time, bring some drinks and stuff for guests. You know, come with no gifts.
I'm going hard with my water.
And your aloe, right? You brought aloe, right? Thank you, Michelle, for the donation.
Aloe, you know?
Yes. Thank you, Cap.
Thank you, Queen. Loving blessings. Peace.
Peace. And so Wellness Wednesdays, healing is important to us. You know, we center our work around healing because we have to help people heal to do everything else. And so that's what we do. And so as we have 20 more minutes before we close out, I want to see some questions. I will bring vibrations with aloe. Positive vibrations. We work with families who are impacted by violence, right? And so helping parents heal, because right now, when you look at a lot of these parents who've lost their loved ones, it's hard sometimes to heal and to move forward when you lose a child. And so although we're doing a lot of the rallying and a lot of the protests and a lot of the things, there's still a lot of families who've lost their loved ones to this system. They've lost their children by arrest. They've lost their children by brutality. They've lost their children by incarceration and various different things. And so we have to be there to help our children and their families heal. Because if a mother, from the pain of losing a child, and going to why I started Life Camp, right? So if you look here, right, these are friends of mine who I lost to gun violence in the 90s and the 80s in the crack epidemic. And I started Life Camp because I saw what was happening to their children. a sort of emptiness and a void in a lot of the children's inability to even move forward with the pain of losing a parent, and losing a parent not only to death, but to 20 and 30 and 40 years in jail, right? And so they didn't know where to go and how to live, and their pain was so, so deep, right? And so we started Life Camp. We started first the Code Foundation with Tupac, and then transferred that name over to Life Camp, which is Love Ignites Freedom Through Education. And we feel it is important for when we're talking about defunding police, we're talking about investing in people. We cannot have a system that continues to militarize everything. And so when you look at the drug epidemic in the 80s, we still haven't recovered, as Kheperah was talking about, from that. And so we didn't bring crack into the community, we didn't bring guns into the community, but yet the system was created and the community was destroyed. And so there was crack babies, there was people who went to jail for 20 and 30 years, families broken up. And so children put in welfare system. And so these are the things that bring a cycle of violence, a cycle of pain, a cycle of trauma that Kheperah was talking about. And so that's why we're doing a Day of Healing on June 19th. That's why we want to focus so much on the importance of healing, the importance of us coming together, the importance of us understanding that we have to help each other. It is not just about one thing, for any one of the one things. We have to look at the whole person and help the whole person move forward, the whole community move forward. And that is going to take a lot of work. And so we stand with the movement for Black Lives in talking about the conversation of defunding the police and looking at organizations and work like ours to invest in and training and educating our credible messengers, the brothers who in the 80s and 90s went to jail and are now back home, who can play a valuable role in changing the cycle of violence and educating the young people about what to do and what not to do. And so we definitely want to remove money from more weaponry, from police in schools, from overtime, from police having to respond on 911 calls that really don't have nothing to do with 911, with the police, I mean. And so also, we need to stop calling the police. There's things that when someone is, and we should get it set up where we should look at, first of all, go to the Movement for Black Lives website and get all the information about defunding the police. Sign up to get information on a regular basis about what we're talking about when we're talking about defunding the police and investing in people, because we have to be the ones to make a difference in our community. And everybody has a role. So the role that Life Camp plays is not the same exact role as the leadership of the Movement for Black Lives play, right? Or Tamika Mallory, who does all of our speaking and goes out, she has a particular role. And then there's A.T. and Tamika is from Until Freedom. And then we have A.T. Mitchell and Kay Bain and GMAC and, those organizations, and Pastor Mike in Faith in Action. Everybody has a different role. We don't all do the same thing because we have a holistic community that needs every single piece of it addressed. And so we work together to co-produce public safety. We work together to raise the consciousness and bring self-determination to our people, to end discrimination and racial biases and level the playing field of our people, because we understand that systemic racism is something that has made our playing field unfair and has put our children in a place that has them the number one victim of police brutality, the number one people in incarceration, the number one people on dropout and low educational rates. And so we have to change those things. We have to change those things. We have to change those things. And we start by getting involved. We start by getting engaged. We start by lifting up our own knowledge about what is going on and and having our young people learn that what they see every day is not the world, that what they experience every day is not the world, and that we can point them to a space of transformation, end the cycle of violence, end the cycle of dropout, end the cycle of police brutality in our community. And so we are also recruiting peacekeepers, recruiting men to work in our community to keep peace. And whether that's peace amongst ourselves and peace amongst the police in our community. And so as people go out and protest and do all of the various things, we have to build the infrastructure on the other side as well. And so that is what we are what we are doing. I'm not going to say try to do. That is what we are doing. That is how we change. I definitely want to learn how to get involved. Lifecampinc.com. Come over and check us out. Let me put it here, lifecampinc.com. All right. And so make sure that you tune in to lifecampinc.com. Black power is definitely what we need. Thank you. These things go so fast, I can't even pin the thing. Y'all is fast, yo. I thank y'all for allowing me to come on here and have conversation with you today. Change the narrative. Definitely we have to do. I still have time to fill the census. Yes, you do have time to fill the census. Please fill out your census. Please. It is very important. If you're the head of the household, if you know people, talk to your people about filling out the census. The census is very important. Election is coming up in New York City on the 23rd. Let's get out and vote. November, we know we all have to go to the poll and get this lunatic out of the White House, which is absurd. Just the fact that he's able to remain the president of the United States with the stuff that he's doing shows us that we have to be more involved, that we have to take the next step to change the narrative and change what's going on. How do I expect to protect the people without a police force? So I can tell you, we in our community, because people protect people, right? The police force is people that are paid to come into your community to do a job. If the people in the community protected the people in the community, then we could grow into something like that. Are we talking today? You know, we had in our community, in a place where there was 4 people killed a year and 17 people shot a year. Was it a year? A year? We went 4 years with absolutely nobody being killed. We went up to 562 days with no one being shot. We decreased the number of people arrested. We've decreased the number of recidivism of Black men going into the prison industrial complex. We decrease the number of people having conflict with the police. And so it can happen. We are so caught on what we see on the TV and what we see on Instagram and social media. If we get off of this, organize your time. There's 24 hours in a day. If we all did a little something in our community to keep it safe, to keep it clean, to make sure that we're bringing in the things that we need, then we can do this. But we also have to just understand that we have the power to protect ourselves. And so what we're saying is to defund the police, because we don't need $6 billion going into the police in our community, and less than $1 billion, less than all of that you can take in New York City, the Department of Education. You could take the program, the New York City Crisis Management System. You can take the Department of Youth and Community Services, which is the youth programming. You could put all of those together and they still don't meet the police, a third of the police budget. And that doesn't make sense. Let's invest in community, invest in young people, invest in people growing and having an opportunity to see the world as their playground. You know, to see the world as a place where they can go and have access to anything they want, to be limitless. That is what we're talking about when we talk about shifting dollars from the police and investing in community. And that's the way we win. You cannot, that's the way we win. Plain and simple. That's it. We have to do it. We have to invest in people, and now is the time. What happened to that brother George Floyd can never happen again. Can never happen again. And it is up to each and every one of us to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend to join the movement, to get active, to get engaged, to understand the importance of building their immune system and staying healthy in the middle of this pandemic, because there will be a second wave. And we are valuable people. As people are chanting every day, Black Lives Matter, make sure your life matters to you. Make sure that you are the most active participant in your life. Make sure that you are the most an active participant in your children's life. Your children's life and future depends on the decisions that you make today. And so what is important to you in the quality of what they eat, in the quality of how they see the world, in the quality of how they engage with each other, is how they stay alive, is how they grow, is how they see past all of the trials and tribulations that run across their camera every day. It is important for you to invest in the mind and the soul and the spirit of our children and our future. And so as Kheperah said, align, alkaline, remind is where we got to go. And so as we close out and we have $220, can we bring this to an even $300 in 9 minutes before we sign off? Can we get an even $300 here to help us get a young person a job? If we get an even, it's $15 an hour. And so if we got 5 young people, that'll be 5 young people. Let's get an even 300. Can we get it? But understand, they protect us. But let's stop focusing. And you know, if we put all our energy into the police, all our energy is going to be in the police. And you ain't going to have no time and energy to put energy into your children and your family and your life and what you do every day. Change your energy. 300. Thank you. Let's thank these people who donated too. Thank you, Kheperah. Thank you, Lilians. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Bless Tay. Thank you, Bribe B and that. Thank you, Cisco. Thank you, Gigi 1000. Thank you, TSV Swiss. Thank you, CS EARCY 530. Thank you, MUR ISSY. Thank you, LSD Henry 95. Thank you, Brother Tahir. Thank you, Akib. Thank you all for donating to Life Camp to help us hire these young people this summer. Make sure you come to Life Camp Inc. Join our voices to help give our young people something to do. Go to the march, the movement for Black Lives, to join the campaign to defund the police, to learn about it, to be part about the whole Juneteenth celebrations. On Juneteenth, we'll be out in New York City holding a march and demonstration as well around defunding the police. Join us, come to Life Camp Inc., get all the information. Erica Ford _ I Love My Life is the Instagram. Y'all can DM me. We can continue the conversation. Let's continue to build the movement to give our children something to live for. All right? Black Power. Peace. Love y'all.